So
Concerts, live
performances.
performances, events,
What
like
what what did the pandemic do?
what's going on? What's going
What
no?
he said? What's going
I
on?
say what's going on? No, I'm sounding German. What is going on? I think you've attended more live shows than I have before the pandemic and also during the pandemic. Because I would only go to like concerts and shows with you when you were
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I think the
And
last one we went to was Burna Boy.
was it or was it Lizzo? Lizzo, because we wanted to upload it to the YouTube channel, but we
Oh
didn't.
yeah, and then we never did. It's true.
Yeah, so it's Lizzo. The
Yeah.
last person we saw was Lizzo. The last person I saw with you, I think, was Lizzo, and the last person I saw with Malu was Got7.
The last
Remember?
person I saw was either the Jonas Brothers or Halsey, but I think it was
Mm,
Halsey.
mm.
Yeah, that was fun.
During the pandemic, though, I attended like virtual live concerts, but ones from the
Same.
Caribbean. Yeah, I only attended like two
Yeah.
that were like free, but I think you could have donated like for charity or a foundation or something like that. But I attended two from Nadia Batson and Nyla Blackman. They were so
Oh,
good. Yeah, they were
regular
so
names
good.
on the podcast.
Yes, I love them. So
Yeah.
I had to like attend their virtual concert and it was like well put together. Like it even surprised me because I was like, okay, not to like be like, oh, in the Caribbean we don't have anything, but it's like sometimes they don't put effort into certain things or they don't like want to invest. But like when I saw these virtual performances, I was like, no, y'all invested y'all monies into the
They
show.
put in
Like
effort.
production was on point. I'm not gonna lie.
Good.
But we'll get into that a bit later. But I want to hear about the stuff you attended during
Oh,
COVID,
during the
during the
pandemic.
pandemic.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was all virtual as well. Cause like,
Okay.
right, I think yeah, Halsey was the last. I believe it was Halsey. I feel like their concert was after the Jonas Brothers, but it was in the same week, so my brain is like confused.
Okay.
But I believe it was Halsey. And then I was supposed to go, and you were supposed to come too, to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then I was also supposed to go to Billie Eilish and to 80s, which is K-pop. There were like 3 concerts that I was supposed to go to after the fact. But they all got postponed or canceled. In the case of like Snoop, it was canceled. Billie Eilish was canceled. 80s was postponed, but I ended up not going regardless. And then I moved to Portugal, where restrictions were more strict than in the Netherlands. So
I
there was
was
like
just about
nothing.
to ask you, like Halsey and Jonas Brothers was in the Netherlands or
It was in the Netherlands.
okay. Okay.
They were both. Am I gonna lie? I was like, am I gonna lie? Because I'm like, no, they were both at the Ziggo Dome.
Okay.
But yeah, and then actually also before I moved, just as the pandemic was like starting and restrictions were popping off, I remember that my cousins did like a virtual thingy to celebrate their 10-year anniversary of their record label with their co-founders. So I think that was the first virtual thing that I saw. And then, like, I mentioned this 2 episodes ago. So the first
Okay.
episode of this season, that BTS was supposed to be going on a tour. And they
Oh
were supposed to
yeah.
be going on a tour the summer of 2020.
And they were
So
also coming to the
that,
Netherlands, right?
exactly.
And it got
And
cancelled.
that kept getting postponed until they eventually canceled it.
Cancel it. Oh yeah.
And like, so they started hosting virtual concerts. I don't even know how many they did while restrictions were in place, because
Yeah.
like restrictions in Korea were in place much longer than they were in Europe. So they did so many. I can't even, like, the first thing that they did was actually they hosted a YouTube live where they basically just like replayed every concert, a concert per album cycle. That's the one.
Okay. Okay.
So from a concert from their first album all the way to their most recent album, which
Okay.
like there wasn't a concert for yet. But
Mm-hmm.
so they did that, and it was over 2 days, and it was like 12 hours of concerts.
Wow.
um, and it was free, and it was on like their like YouTube channel. So that was the first thing that they did, and then after that, they hosted their first virtual event thing,
Event. Okay.
which was like an hour and a half ish of like concert. They performed their old songs. They performed some of the ones off the album that they released just before the pandemic hit. And then they like kept doing them.
Yeah.
They like kept hosting these online concerts. So then they did what they were supposed to do on tour. They hosted that one virtually, which was crazy. And it's like it's interesting because there are benefits to having these massive productions hosted virtually.
I was actually gonna ask you a question. I was like, what do you think is more? I don't want to say much more better, but what do you think is less pressure? Like having the live show or like doing a virtual show? Because with the virtual show, like you have to put on like great production, like performances have to be on point, vocals. Okay, you could pretty much lip sync, but then you would have to deal with the backlash from the internet.
Yeah.
And then like the live performances, like everything has to go accordingly because like it's live. I don't know. What do you think is more pressure?
Well, the virtual ones are live. So it's a live
Okay,
stream and you're
true.
watching it as it's happening. So there is pressure for the stream not to fuck up, basically.
That too.
So let's say for this one that I'm talking about, which is called Map of the Soul 1, they hosted it over 2 days. So they did 2 days in a row. I watched both days and like with a friend of mine. And what was interesting about it was that they put on that same level of production that they would have done if it was live,
Oh, right.
but there was the added elements of augmented reality which they made use of, which made things like visually super super
So,
cool.
yeah.
But everything else is as they would have done it if it was in front of a live audience. So the vocals were live, they were dancing, they were, doing the most, and they had people attending virtually. Some of them you could see because like they won a raffle, so then their faces were on screens like throughout the arena where they were holding this event in. And then like the rest of us were just like watching, and there was like a chat room function and they could read it if, in between songs if they felt like it. But I don't think the pressure is much different for them. They said that it's harder to do it virtually because you don't get feedback from the audience live.
Exactly.
You don't
I
get the
was just about to
live
say, yeah.
you don't get the live reactions, you don't get the live feedback, so you can't actually tell if people are enjoying it.
Right.
And it was such a stark difference to like not have any sound in between their songs,
Right.
because it's like, they're doing the fan chants, they're screaming, they're cheering, they're clapping, but it was just like silence. It was just them. And it was so strange, but you're also like so appreciative for having this form of distraction,
Right.
because it was really, they put their all into it. You could tell it was very difficult for them, compared to seeing them perform in front of a live audience. And like, it was still so good. It was still so good. It was still so great. And it was still so much fun. But that difference was so noticeable as well at the same time. But look, I had fun. And you can tell I had fun because I attended every single one that they did after that.
Right. But during the pandemic, the two, like I mentioned earlier, the two shows that I watched, the virtual performances, was from Nadia Batson and Nyla Blackman. And both were great, but I would have to say that Nadia Batson was my favorite, just because she, like, to me, I feel like she went all out in terms of like, she did her performance at like a water park, or like a water park, amusement park type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And like she set up like a little small stage with like cool LED backlight. She had a whole band, and like she performed mainly um most of her biggest like hit songs, but she also like brought other artists from Trinidad on stage with her. And I don't know, she had other artists performing but at different locations at the amusement park as well. So it was just like interesting. Like you would see her on stage, then maybe another Trinidadian artist would come up on stage and perform their own song, and then she would come
Yeah.
back on stage, perform her song, and then she would switch like to a different location. I remember she switched to a location where she had a Calypsonian artist perform like on a bridge, and
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
like water under the bridge, and then when she was done with that, like she switched to like this carnival scene. Like I don't
That's
know,
cool.
it was just interesting,
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
visually like interesting, and I was like, this is so cool. Like she's filming it at an amusement park, like she's not just staying to one location,
Yeah,
she's
yeah. There
like
were different sets and stuff.
different sets with different
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah.
Like it was just well put together. I think I really
Yeah,
really
yeah.
really enjoyed it. It was called Art Form, and I think she does it every year. Last year I think she did it in New York, but
Okay.
I didn't get to see the clip of that. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if there is even a clip. But when she did it in Trinidad during the pandemic, it was super super great. Like it was really good, hands down. Like I feel like the other Caribbean islands need to learn. I mean, Jamaica does its thing. I feel
Yeah.
like Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados,
Mm.
and I don't know if I'm forgetting any other place. I feel like they really do their thing. Like they really
Yeah,
like
they do.
invest in their artist,
Yeah.
and they like help them put themselves out there, because I see artists in Jamaica, Trinidad and Barbados do so much great things that I know
Mm-hmm.
cost money, and I'm like, I feel like they're investing into them, because I'm like, no way they're putting all of their money into this. Some do, like
Yeah.
when it comes to like music videos and songs to like get themselves out there, but I mean the level of production that was going on, I'm like, y'all had to have help, and it's great that y'all had help like this, and I wish other Caribbean islands could take example to do the same. And I always talk about Saint Martin, and
Yeah.
it's not like I don't want Saint Martin to be like copying everything another Caribbean island does, but I'm like, y'all could like improve
Yeah.
and like invest and like take it a
Mm-hmm.
bit more serious, because I mean, in St. Martin, we always talk about supporting the youths and helping others achieve their dreams and who's talented and who's gonna reach far or whatever. But like, where is the effort? Where is the support? Like support, like I understand you're giving like emotional support, physical support in terms of like showing up to their shows or whatever, but like they also need financial support. Because I
Yeah, of
mean,
course.
things ain't
Cost
free.
money.
It
Yeah.
costs money,
It costs
money.
money.
The same Trinidadian artists that were performing at Nadia Batson's virtual show,
Mm-hmm.
like some of them are ambassadors for a phone provider.
Okay, yeah.
It's called Digicel in Trinidad,
Yeah.
and Digicel like has like artists be their
Mm-hmm.
brand ambassadors, and what they do is use these artists as their brand ambassadors for their like commercials or
Yeah.
for like their promo stuff. So they always like showcase them like on social media, or they make commercials with them. And something that they did during the pandemic that I loved was, I don't know, I don't remember what it was called. I don't know if it was called Digicel at Home or something like that, but it was where they had all of their ambassadors who are artists
Mm-hmm.
do like pre-recorded performances
Yeah.
in their homes. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they would go to their home, set up their home with like lights, cameras, like a whole production set at their
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
and like film them at home with a live band
Oh, that's
performing.
dope. It's like NPR Tiny Desk, but the actual
Yeah,
performance is the
yeah,
piece de
and they did it
resistance.
at home, and then they uploaded to YouTube on Digicel's YouTube platform.
That's
That
dope.
was such a great idea. I'm like, whoever is doing the marketing there in Trinidad for Digicel, you're
Yeah.
doing a great job with the artists.
I think like look, the one good thing that we can say about like all the virtual concerts and whatnot is that it encouraged innovation
Yeah, for sure. Because I
in
want them to do
the
more of this in the future.
yeah, in the
Well, not
like
in the
live
future, in the
music.
now. They need to do it
He
now.
said now.
They need to continue doing it now.
Yeah, and like BTS still does it. Like for their live performances and whatnot. So like right now, Sugar's on tour, right?
Mm.
And his soul dates, which are the ones towards the end of his tour, those are going to
Hmm.
be live streamed when BTS started touring again, and they did their shows in LA and Vegas in the US before they went on their break. those were live streamed. Almost every day of that was live streamed. Because I mean, look, like Coachella and stuff was always also live streamed, and
True.
Lollapalooza as well. But it's different when it's like a major festival that's being
Right.
live streamed onto like a TV station or a Apple TV or a YouTube channel or whatever the fuck. It's different when it's like that, because also that's a format we're used to. It's a format we've seen before.
Yeah.
But to live stream your entire concert and still make it entertaining for the viewer is hard. So the innovation of using like the augmented reality and whatnot was such a cool positive
Right.
on that. But the downside of what the pandemic did to like the music business is that now concert tickets are more expensive,
Yeah.
and like ticketing ticketing companies are trifling. They are wilding. They are doing entirely too much. Ticketmaster, I'm looking at you directly in your eyeballs. I'm making eye contact. um, and like the dynamic pricing situation, because it's never happened to me, because I've only ever gone to concerts in Europe or like in fucking South Africa, where
Yeah.
like I don't remember it being a thing either, and it was a really long time ago, so it was before it could have possibly been a thing.
Right.
Yeah, so dynamic pricing is now just a major issue for concerts and concert goers, because it drives up the price of concert tickets depending on demand. So if you're a Beyonce, if you're a BTS, where do we cap? Where do we cap the demand? Where do we cap the pricing? Because if
The
this ticket
pricing
is
for
supposed to
Beyonce's
be,
tickets was out of this world in the
I'm
US.
saying, because if this ticket is supposed to be like 130 USD and I get to check out and it's suddenly 500 USD, I'm setting somebody on fire. Like, I didn't sign up.
Right.
I didn't sign up for
That's
this. Like, I
crazy.
saw so many people have to like ask for refunds, return their tickets, because that wasn't the price that they intended to pay. They don't have that in their budget
Right.
like that, because it just sneaks up on you. It sneaks up on you. You have no idea that it's fucking happening, unless you're already familiar with dynamic pricing, which a lot of people were not when all these tour tickets started being released over the past few months. And like, it fucked people up, because they were like, I can't pay 1,000 USD for a ticket. That's crazy.
No,
I was here, I
that's crazy.
budgeted for like 400 USD. And you're telling me it's now 1,000? That's insane. So I think that these are now the next major issues that we're gonna have to tackle. Also, because like ticketing in the US is very much a monopoly. It's just Live Nation and Ticketmaster.
Right.
Whereas like in Portugal, well, Live Nation is now coming to Portugal, so we're gonna be fucked too. Because in the Netherlands it was also Live Nation and Ticketmaster, but
Yeah.
they can't do dynamic pricing.
Yeah.
So like dynamic pricing is referred to as like a premium. However, in the Netherlands, for example, because that's where I've been to the most concerts ever in my whole life, you either buy a premium ticket or you buy a normal ticket. Either way, you know that when you select your ticket for 150 euros,
That's
you get
the
to the
price.
finish line and you're paying 150 euros.
Right.
But if you select a premium ticket, you're going to pay like 300 euros, but you know that already. You know that because that's the price it's set. It's a set price.
Yeah.
They don't switch shit up on you like they do in the US. I would be rioting so hard. And like, it's become such a major fucking issue. Ticketmaster has multiple cases open against them.
Wow.
One is even like just Canada versus Ticketmaster type of situation. And what's the band? There's like an old school band also that now is making a case against Ticketmaster because they're doing the dynamic pricing thing. And I'm like, look, I understand times are tough and you want to make more money.
Yeah.
But this is not the way to do it.
This is not the way.
This is so shady. It's so shady and so fucked up, and it makes people not want to waste money. It makes people not want to spend the money, because you're making them spend more than they plan to spend. That's crazy. People plan around these things, me included. Like, if I know I want to go to a specific concert, I start looking up the prices before the tickets are released, because I want to plan around that. I
And
want to plan around what I'm gonna spend on these fucking tickets.
yeah.
And like to take that away from people, it's crazy. I'm like, stop being selfish. Ticketmaster and Live Nation, do you want to fight?
Listen.
So I think those are now the major issues that we're gonna be facing as concert goers, as music fans, and just the live music industry in and of itself. The pandemic fucked shit up.
Yeah, for real.
The music industry suffered because of the pandemic. So these are just business people trying to bring back business to what it was before the pandemic. But I think that we've all got to accept that it's not going to be the same.
Same, yeah.
It's not going to be the same way that we cannot be who we were 2-3 years ago before the pandemic started. That it just shifted everybody's shit. Yeah. So we're gonna have to adapt. But I'm not adapting to dynamic pricing. I refuse to adapt to that. Ridiculous. We can adapt, but not to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the tea on concerts. They were what they were beforehand. They were what they were during the pandemic. They were fun during the pandemic. They were very much a beacon of hope and like little moments, pockets of happiness for everybody involved. And they are what they are now. I just like that artists have their audiences back.
Yeah.
I don't think that the joy of seeing an artist go on stage and actually have an audience again and their reaction to hearing the audience again, seeing the audience again, I don't think that's ever going to be replicated again. It's so beautiful. It was so beautiful to see because I saw that for many different people after restrictions started lifting, and it was just so good. I'm just glad that they have their audiences back. I can't imagine how daunting it must have been to perform in silence.
Yeah, for real. That's weird, yeah.
Yeah, guys, I feel like that's what the tea is on concerts.
That's what the tea is. Yeah. I feel that sums it up pretty much. If anything else interesting pops up, we'll talk about it. But I feel like that pretty much sums it up.
Shit's a little different from before the pandemic, but it's otherwise gone back to almost the same.
Almost the same.
Yeah. Small talk.
Yeah. Transition.
Whee.
For those of you who know or don't know, our small talk section is where Kiki and I ask each other a question. It can be completely related to the podcast or music or not related at all. It can be just like a random question. And we list our 2 favorite songs for the week that we've been listening to. So, you have a question for me?
I do actually.
Oh, okay.
For like the first time.
Right? Because I was like, I don't have a question.
She came with a question prepared.
She said question.
Yeah. I feel like I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
So which like musician do you think you would be best friends with and why?
Girl, okay, but it's like a lot. It's like more than one. It's like more than one.
You can say them.
I feel like I'll be best friends like with Coco and Spice.
I was expecting Spice. I wasn't expecting Coco.
Yeah, cause Coco, like, I don't know. Coco is like, Coco does stuff like us. She talks sometimes like us. She does like the weird accents sometimes. So like I could relate to Coco.
She's goofy sometimes.
Yeah, she's goofy.
Yeah.
So Coco and Spice because Spice is Caribbean and like we could relate when it comes to like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And like her story is also very inspiring because not only like because she had her house burnt down, she then had money growing up and all those stuff, and some of the stuff that she experienced I can also relate to when it comes to like stuff in the music industry.
Yeah.
No, so it's definitely Coco and Spice. I also just like goofy people. Like sometimes I'm serious, but I also just like goofy people who will also be goofy with me and laugh and so forth.
Yeah.
So I know Coco have that, and Spice also has that because Spice is so goofy.
She is,
right? Yeah. Sometimes like the most serious things she takes for a joke, and I'm like, Spice, it's time to be serious.
Hello. Focus.
So yeah, bitch.
Okay. What's your question?
Okay, so I had a question in mind, but like your question was a little interesting.
Okay.
So I'm gonna flip it back.
Oh,
which artists else do you
Uno
think
reverse card.
you would be best friends with?
I feel like there are a lot of people that I would get along with.
Hmm.
I feel like I would get along really well with Lizzo. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Okay. Yeah.
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 I don't
Uh
know. I
huh.
just get that vibe from her.
Yeah.
I would get along with Lizzo. And I would get along with. I feel like I could be friends with Megan Thee Stallion as well.
Okay. Yeah. Uh huh.
Like, really good friends with Megan. But yeah, I think I could be friends with Megan and Lizzo because,
Hmm.
again, it's the same thing with you. Like, they have that goofy side, but they also have that side where you can sit down and have a proper conversation,
Right. Hmm.
which is something that I value. Like, I love being able to talk about complex and difficult things with my friends, but
Hmm.
also being able to um, just be silly and
Silly.
be
Yeah.
goofy
Yeah.
and not necessarily act our age all the time.
Mm-hmm. No, right. That's the
Yeah.
same vibes I get from Coco and Spice because, like, I know Coco is goofy most of the time, but I
Mm-hmm.
know like you can sit and have like a serious conversation with her where she'll
Yeah.
understand and like actually give you advice. And I know Spice as well. Like she'll hear you out, because like
Yeah.
we in the Caribbean as well, we like to like sit and also listen and see how we can help others and things while
Mm-hmm.
still being goofy. So yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the songs.
Swans.
And I don't know, Coco just released a music video for her song Double Back. It's on her EP What I Didn't Tell You.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting into that song again because she released
Mm-hmm.
the music video, which is dope, by the way. I'm like, yes, Coco, production, money, give everything. She's also wearing like this kind of latex tight dress. I'm like, yes.
I always see the latex dresses and like the latex catsuits, and I'm like, are you not sweating under there?
Yeah. Yeah. But Double Back by Coco Jones is
Okay.
the first song. So my second song is AG Baby by Nyla Blackman and if I'm saying his name correctly, Adekunle Gold.
Okay, okay.
Yes. What's your two songs?
My first song is called "Don't Ever Say Love Me" by Cold,
She said
featuring
title.
RM.
Okay.
The song is fucking beautiful. I was like, I mean, I've known Cold for a few years now. I've listened to most of his stuff. First of all, he has a very beautiful voice, and
Mm.
second of all, he's a hell of a composer as well.
Mm.
So the song is it's arranged so beautifully. There's like violins and shit going on.
Nice.
There's just so much goodness in there, and then as per usual, RM kills all of his features.
Yeah.
So he killed it, and there's like just there's a portion of his part that makes me want to float. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it, but it brought this very specific feeling.
Feeling.
And I can only describe it as floatiness. It was good because he has like a really, really deep voice. And like really husky as well, especially when he's singing that deep.
Okay.
So yeah, it's great. And then staying on theme, my second song is Closer by RM.
Okay.
Featuring Paul Blanco and Mahalia. This song was my introduction to Paul Blanco. I was not familiar with him before this, but I am a fan of Mahalia, so I was very excited to see that she's on his album. The song fucking hits every time. I am obsessed with it. It's an illness at this point. I'm so obsessed with it. Every time I listen to it, it's like it's the first time I'm listening to it for no reason. It's just like it's a really good track. So it's kind of a song that insinuates if this is all that I can have, then that's what I'm gonna take. But I do wish we could be closer, type of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the previous song that I mentioned is like, getting lost in the sauce of a relationship.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of romantic music lately. I'm just now realizing.
You're just now realizing. I know. I saw it in your face. You were like, well.
Yeah, I was like, and it's funny because I'm not like I used to be a ballad bitch. I used to love ballads, but now I do not enjoy them at all.
Oh my boy. You listen to it too much.
Listen, I used to love a ballad, one of those heartbreaking ones. I used to love it. That where they're belting and doing all
Yeah.
of those heavy vocals. I used to love it, but now I don't. I don't. I'm tired of them. But I still find a way to listen to songs about love. I like
Mm.
songs about love. I like different portrayals of love in music as well. So yeah, those are my two songs, both about love in different ways.
Mm. Cool. Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. So, guys, this is the end of our episode.
So
If
true.
you are watching us on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast and Spotify, don't forget to share the podcast, like,
Mm-hmm.
follow, do all the things, bring up that
Mm-hmm.
engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Don't Touch My Music Pod.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same thing for both platforms. We
Mm-hmm.
post like bloopers and funny shit on TikTok, and then we'll give you like a bit more funny, serious stuff on Instagram. But
Yeah.
we'll see, we'll see,
You
we'll
can
see.
see our songs of the week on our
Yes,
highlights.
yeah,
So you can go snoop on what we listen to
yeah,
if you
and get a
want.
little taste of what we like.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
guys,
mm-hmm.
we'll see you next week.
So true, so true.
Okay,
Um
you were gonna say
Bye.
something? Oh, okay,
No.
bye.
Bye.